One swing, that's all it takes for Shohei Ohtani to change a game, a season, and an entire franchise's destiny. But right now, that swing is gone, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are in full crisis mode. This is not a story about a routine slump. This is a story about a $700 million investment unraveling in real time, a manager who drew the hardest line in baseball, a coach who walked into his boss's office and handed over his resignation, and a personal advisor who finally revealed the dark secret that nobody inside the organization wanted to say out loud. Every layer of this story is more shocking than the last, and by the end you'll understand exactly why the most expensive lineup in baseball history is currently holding its breath. The numbers that define Shohei Ohtani's career are unlike anything the sport has ever produced. A 10-year, $700 million contract, the largest in the history of professional sports. A two-way superstar who pitches at an elite level and hits with devastating power in the same season. A player who single-handedly shifts the energy inside any stadium he walks into. When the Los Angeles Dodgers signed Ohtani before the 2024 season, they weren't just adding a player to their roster, they were acquiring a phenomenon. And right now, that phenomenon is in serious trouble. If you're a real baseball fan who wants honest, in-depth coverage every single day, Baseball Daily is building something special. We're closing in on our first 500 subscribers, and every subscribe, like, comment, and share is pushing us closer. Hit that subscribe button and become part of this community before the next big story drops. The performance data from Ohtani's recent stretch tells a painful, undeniable story. His contact rate has dropped. His launch angle has become inconsistent. His pitch recognition, once considered one of the sharpest in the entire league, has looked slow and uncertain. Pitchers who used to game plan obsessively around facing Ohtani are now attacking him with open confidence. That shift in dynamic from feared to approachable sent alarm bells ringing at every level of the Dodgers organization, and the timing could not be worse. The Dodgers are locked in a fiercely competitive pennant race where every game, every at-bat, and every swing carries serious weight. Manager Dave Roberts had been watching. He had been patient. He had given Ohtani the time and space to find his way through the struggles independently. But patience, it appears, finally ran out, and what followed was one of the most intense internal moments this Dodgers team has experienced all season. Sources describe the closed-door meeting as something nobody in that room will forget. Roberts, known throughout baseball for his calm and composed presence, walked in with a completely different energy that day. He did not raise his voice. He did not need to. The weight of his words alone was enough to silence every person in the room. He looked directly at Ohtani and delivered a message that sent shockwaves through the organization. If you don't change, quit. Let that land for a moment. The manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, the team that committed $700 million to Shohei Ohtani, told that same player to either fix his approach or walk away from the game. This was not a motivational speech. This was a direct, personal challenge aimed at specific habits and tendencies that Roberts believes are driving the slump deeper with every passing week. According to sources close to the situation, Roberts made clear that the problems extend far beyond swing mechanics. Ohtani's pre-at-bat preparation has changed in damaging ways. His ability to stay locked in during long at-bats, once one of his defining strengths, has visibly deteriorated. Roberts reportedly told Ohtani that slumps are a normal part of baseball, but the way a player responds to a slump reveals everything about their character and their commitment to the game. He made one thing absolutely clear. Bad habits formed during difficult stretches can permanently damage a career if left uncorrected. For a player of Ohtani's caliber, that was not a risk the Dodgers were prepared to accept. The indefinite batting ban that followed was described by sources inside the organization not as a punishment, but as a complete reset, stripping everything back to fundamentals and rebuilding Ohtani's mechanics and mental routine from scratch. Roberts was direct. Ohtani would not return to the lineup until the coaching staff witnessed genuine, measurable change in his preparation and approach at the plate. What happened next was something no one inside the organization anticipated. Within hours of that meeting, hitting coach Robert Van Scoyoc requested a private sit-down with Roberts. He walked in, sat down, and slid a resignation letter across the desk. 4 words followed: "It's all my responsibility." Mid-season resignations from hitting coaches are extraordinarily rare in Major League Baseball. They signal not just personal accountability, but a deeper acknowledgement that something has gone fundamentally wrong at the core of a team's offensive development. Van Scoyoc is a highly respected figure in the game, known for his analytical approach and his ability to connect with players on a personal level. His decision to resign rather than deflect or point fingers is a significant statement in itself. Sources indicate that Van Scoyoc had been aware for several weeks that his communication with Ohtani had broken down. The adjustments he was recommending were not transferring from practice to live game situations. The drills designed to correct Ohtani's swing path were producing temporary improvements that disappeared the moment he stepped into a real at-bat. Van Scoyoc reportedly concluded that he had failed to find the right methodology to reach Ohtani during this critical stretch, and that failure weighed heavily enough on him to walk away. The Dodgers organization has not officially confirmed whether the resignation has been accepted or whether Van Scoyoc will remain in some capacity. What is clear is that his potential departure adds serious instability to an already fragile situation. The most revealing development in this entire story, however, comes from a man who had been deliberately silent throughout the entire ordeal, Ohtani's personal hitting advisor, known in baseball circles simply as Robski. For weeks, Robski maintained a complete wall of silence that only fueled speculation about what was happening behind closed doors. Then he broke it, and what he revealed changed the entire frame of the conversation. Robski confessed that he had identified the root cause of Ohtani's slump several weeks earlier, but had been unable to convince Ohtani to make the necessary changes. And critically, he made clear that the problem is not primarily mechanical. The real issue runs much deeper. Ohtani has developed what Robski described as an anticipation trap. Rather than reading each pitch in real time and reacting to what he actually sees, Ohtani has been unconsciously pre-committing to certain pitch types and locations before the ball is even released from the pitcher's hand. Against the elite pitching in Major League Baseball, where pitchers deliberately vary speed, movement, and location to disrupt a hitter's timing, pre-committing is devastating. Even when the early read is correct, the slightest variation, a few inches of late movement, a subtle change in velocity is enough to completely collapse Ohtani's timing on a pitch. What makes this habit particularly dangerous, Robski admitted, is that it developed gradually and invisibly. There was no single at-bat, no single game where Ohtani made a conscious decision to change his approach. The anticipation habit grew slowly across many at-bats, reinforced by small successes that masked the larger structural problem building underneath. By the time the slump became undeniable, the habit was already deeply embedded in Ohtani's subconscious approach to hitting. Robski expressed deep frustration, not with Ohtani as a person or even as a player, but with the invisible nature of the problem and the time pressure that a competitive season creates. Convincing someone to unlearn a habit they do not consciously believe they have is, by Robski's own admission, one of the most difficult challenges he has ever faced in his career as a hitting advisor. The situation inside the Dodgers clubhouse is serious, but identifying the root cause of a mental slump, naming the anticipation trap clearly and publicly, is the hardest part of solving it. Ohtani's physical talent has not disappeared. His work ethic remains exceptional. The batting ban, uncomfortable as it is, creates a real opportunity to strip everything back and rebuild his plate approach from the ground up, away from the pressure of live game at-bats. The Dodgers also need to move quickly on the hitting coach situation, because a leadership vacuum in their offensive development program during a pennant race is a problem they cannot afford to let sit. This story is far from over. And if Shohei Ohtani finds his way through this, which given everything that defines his career remains entirely possible, the comeback will be one of the defining chapters of the 2024 MLB season. If you enjoy real baseball content and breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next. Subscribe to Baseball Daily, drop your take in the comments. Do you think Ohtani comes back stronger, or is this slump deeper than anyone realizes? And if this story hit different, share it with someone who follows the game. Real baseball conversations happen right here, every single day.